First, we pre-mix xanthan gum and glycerin, and what this does is wet the polymer so that it is more soluble in the water. As you can see, we are also heating the water. Once the water is between 65 and 70 degrees Celsius, you may begin to add the rest of the water phase, which is our xanthan gum and zamea dispersion and the clays, as well as a silica polymer. So now that our water is up to temperature, we will add our xanthan gum and glycerin dispersion. This should thicken the water considerably, so you may wish to increase the speed of your propeller. Our next ingredient is kaolin, and with this, as well as the next ingredient, which is the bentonite, help give the final formulation substance and some thickness. As you can see, it turns the water from clear to a very white opaque solution. Once you have added all of these polymers and clays, you should take the propeller off and stir it with a spatula to ensure that there is no clumping, because the bentonite and the albagel have a bit of a predisposition to clump together. Next, we will add the bentonite. And what bentonite can help do in this final formulation is to help reduce redness, as it has a bit of a green tint to it. Next, we will be adding the Granpowder QSC. And what this silicone cross polymer and polymethyl silicesquioxane does is to help reduce the tackiness of the final formulation. It also acts as a water phase thickener. Now that our water phase has been put together and is heating, we will begin to heat our oil phase. The first ingredient is GChemCTG, which is just capric caprylic triglyceride. So once that warms up a bit, we will begin to add the rest of the oil phase, which is our waxes. Our next ingredient will be the Cetyl Alcohol. And what this will help do is to add some emollient characteristics to the oil phase. Once that has melted, you may begin to add the rest of the waxes. Our next ingredient is glycerol stearate and PEG 100 stearate, and this is going to be our oil phase emulsifier. Our next ingredient is stearic acid, and this will act as another oil phase emulsifier. Our next ingredient is the Gransil SBG-11, which is dimethicone and polysilicone 11 dispersed in shea butter. So this will give our final formulation a nice luxurious feel. Our next ingredient is the SW65U, which is a titanium dioxide dispersion, and this will give our final formulation a whitening effect. Now that our oil phase is completely together and has reached 65 degrees Celsius, and our water phase is also at 65 degrees Celsius, we can begin to add the oil to the water phase. Now that our oil and water phase mixture has cooled down to room temperature, we can begin to add our actives and preservative. First, our preservative, the Euxyl PE 9010, will be added. Next, our encapsulated resveratrol, SalSphere Resveratrol, will be added. As you can see, this can be added on top of final formulations with ease. Now that our mask is completely uniform, we will take it off to add the final ingredient by hand. The final ingredient is SalColorFX white to pink. The reason we are adding this by hand is that if we mix it with a propeller, we run the risk of breaking that encapsulation and having the pigment run into our mask. This is our SalSphere Resveratrol mask. As you can see, it is very thick, which is what you want in a mask. As you notice, it is a bit of an off-white color, and we do have the SalColorFX in there. And the way we activate the SalColorFX is by gently rubbing it on the skin. So when you're using the product, you will know that it is working when it has gone from white to pink.